Welcome to Out of My Mouth, the program where raw thoughts meet unfiltered conversations.
Join us as we dive into the depths of human experience, where we share stories, perspectives, and insights that just might challenge the status quo.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and ponder the world around you like never before. This is Out of My Mouth.
The views and opinions of our guest and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of New Thought Media Network, or any organization we may be affiliated with. Here at New Thought Media Network, we welcome freedom of speech and courageous conversations. There are many topics that can be difficult to navigate. Challenging the status quo and engaging in lively debate is important to expanding our understanding of one another, and life in general. Creating a peaceful world doesn't happen because no one disagrees, it happens from a willingness to understanding one another. In our programming, we strive to expand consciousness and assist people in creating remarkable lives. Your comments are welcome at info@ntmedia.org.
Good afternoon and welcome to Out of My Mouth, place where we have conversations for the new world, but also courageous conversations, those things that we don't always want to speak about. I'm Barbara Jean and I am your host today. I do believe that my co-host Cheryl Rogers will be with us soon. So today I want to begin with the spirit of reconciliation, our land acknowledgement. So let us just go within and take these words. In the spirit of reconciliation and peace, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet on these sacred lands. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We recognize our oneness, we realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. We are one. Miigwech. Well, today I have a remarkable guest, and her name is Gino Walker, and she began singing at a very early age. She was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and she was surrounded by blues and gospel and jazz, and she is now the music production coordinator for Unity Church in San Diego and doing amazing work as always. The Universal Spirit Center located in San Diego is the correct name. She is part of a remarkable ministry. She is a dynamic individual, and we're going to talk a little bit about last night's election. Welcome, Gino.
Hello, my beautiful sister.
Hello, honey. So good to have you here. Whew, we have to kind of take a breath.
We have to do more than take a breath. I am literally trying to breathe right now. And just recognizing that there's a process that we all have to go through. For those that voted for Trump and for Donald Trump, I congratulate you. But also for those of us that did not, there is a grieving process.
Absolutely.
And it's more than just a win or loss situation. There is a grieving process of what our world has the potential to look like and where that world is going. So trying to breathe into that and to see a light at the tunnel.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, when I look at what happened, I'm shocked, frankly. I mean, Kamala did not have enough time to really make a difference, but I think she took a lot of votes. There are a lot of people who really did appreciate what she had to offer. And I think that, are we ready to have a female president in the United States of America?
That's a really interesting question because there are two things that I think that play out. I don't know if time was the issue.
Yeah.
You know, there was a survey that 81% of the people had made their decision before September. So that that speaks to its own. But I think the greater question is America ready, not only for a woman, but for equality? And I think therein lies where my sadness is that I thought we had come much further along than we are.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this allows us to look at, no, we're not ready for a woman. And we are definitely not ready for a Black woman.
Yeah.
Or a woman of color, however you like to phrase it. But not only that, our consciousness is not ready to live in a society that the majority of us live in a peaceful, loving, compassionate, respective state for one another.
Yeah.
And as much as that hurts, it's like, that's the work. This is where we are.
And it is what it is. And so now what? Yeah. So now it's moving forward and figuring out how, you know, the masses that, you know, have not been represented, that are not represented at all here, how that there needs to be that upswell from, you know, everyone to see what's really going on and to be able to speak to what's really needed. Because how do we create an equitable, peaceful, loving world when somebody at the head is so divisive?
Well, you know, I think that's one of the things is that it's kind of like, you know, I love me some Abraham Hicks. And, you know, they always say, in order to know what you do want, you got to know what you don't want.
Yes.
And so I think we're going to be living in a space where people are going to see, I think we're going to experience a great deal if you do believe in peace and equality, and those that think that maybe it's, you know, that this fix that has been promised for the economy, that's going to do it, that there's a sense of understanding, there's a core pain and core anger that's deeply rooted in America. And it is in racism, it is in sexism, it is in the inequality that we have. And so unfortunately, I mean, I think about talking with my brother, he texted me to see how I was doing and to think about our young people, our young women that are faced with some very difficult challenges.
Absolutely.
That will reap repercussion to more women than not. And someone read something to me on Facebook, and I'm paraphrasing, but they said something in essence, and this was before the election. How is it that our economy is more important than a woman's life and her body?
Well, that's a very good question.
I was like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I was, you know, I look at every now and again, like I watched the first season of The Handmaid's Tale here in Canada, and I don't know if it's aired down there, but
yes,
I watched that and it was horrific to watch. And then when Trump got into power, immediately I thought, wow, like here's the reality of what Margaret Atwood wrote so many years ago. Like it feels like that, you know, women's rights are being stripped from them and there's no equality. There's this, you know, very male dominated experience, and be damned who you are or what you think or what you want. They don't care about that. And it's almost like moving back to a Judeo-Christian, here's the way it's got to be from here moving forward. And that to me is really a huge step backwards.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like. But I got to know at some point, some place that we have not hit. When I say we, I talk about, and it's not just America. This is around the world.
Yeah, we're deeply impacted by this.
Yes, that we around the world globally, we have not realized the power of what we can do together.
Yes.
The power of having societies live in peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you haven't experienced something, because I think there are many that think that that's some far-fetched dream.
Yes.
But I think we're going to experience things in such a way. Unfortunately, some people have to actually touch the fire to know that it burns.
Yeah.
And I think we are embarking into that aspect that we are going to have to touch the fire.
I agree.
There's just so many things that we have lost compassion about, that we're kind of almost numb to.
Yeah.
That it just doesn't, if it doesn't affect you personally, then it's kind of like, it's not really happening.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I mean, the wildest dream would be that he gets in there and does a 600-degree turn. That would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be remarkable?
That would be amazing. But that has not been proven to be the case. One of the first things I'm sure he'll do is dismiss his cases, his legal cases. He'll pardon.
Yeah.
There are things that, he'll probably try to kick out a lot of things. But it's going to be very, very interesting.
And my husband was talking, like I said earlier, Pierre is really, really angry at this point. Like he's just in such disbelief, but he's also very afraid of what this man is going to do. And, he said, is he going to go in there because he's got all the backing that he needs? Is he going to go in and change the rules?
Yes.
About, how many terms a president can serve.
Yep.
And become the dictator. That's, he's going, that feels like his energy. And
yes, it does.
Yeah. And so there's really some big questions that Americans and Canadians, we don't get to vote, but we get to feel the repercussions.
Right.
Looking at really, charging more for, like, taxing all sorts of things and creating things that are going to make it very difficult for the Canadian people. So again, we've got this mess happening that we have little control over, but we get to watch it unfold, which is kind of hard. But Pierre is like, he says, I just am terrified of what this man's going to do.
Well, I don't want to pull that spiritual card, but that's all I got to hang on right now.
Yep, me too.
And so it's like, there is terror for a lot of people today. I just feel like I can feel the energy here in Southern California, the somberness of what is possibly to go. And so then I felt myself in my prayer time going, Spirit, how deep must light workers and energy workers, how deep must we go to hold a consciousness? Because when I look at it, it's like the consciousness of America is much less than what I thought. It is just juvenile. It is, and some of this is just anger. But it's unbelievable the amount of Hispanic and Latin people that voted for him. After the way, it's like, this is the Gino, I don't get it. That you would think that when he starts deporting people, do you think he's going to care about if you're legal or not?
He could care less.
He could care less.
Yeah.
And
clearing people out for sure.
Yeah.
The borders to anybody.
Breaking families up. It's like, what were you thinking?
Mhm.
So
Wasn't it under him that the children were caged?
yes,
And
yes,
like that was the most horrific thing I've ever seen in what is meant to be a first world country.
yeah. I'm not saying that we don't have an immigration crisis or a problem. I don't even know if I'd call it a crisis, a problem. But a lot of things that they don't talk about. It's just like with all drug wars. You talk about the low totem pole people, but they're not the ones flying stuff in here. They're not the ones getting through custom. These are people on the upper levels that have the say so to let this plane pass through, let them go here. There's so many other things that are involved and people not looking or realizing. And so, yeah, it's like the battle for me now is, and I'm going to be okay, but to keep some consciousness.
Yes.
Not to go straight to victimhood, not to go to anger. And it's okay to stop there for a minute, but I know that I can't reside there.
Well, that's the key, is that there has to be okay, now what? If in fact everything in the universe is serving some kind of purpose, which I truly believe it is,
Yes.
then I have to look at this too. And one of the things that I've done in the past, and what I've suggested many times in counseling, is that whenever there's something that's very difficult for us, just bathe it in love. Every time we think about it, bathe it in love. Don't go into the hatred and all of that, because that's the energy. Whatever we focus on is what grows and expands.
Exactly.
And right now, I think we have to have our moment of anger. We have to have our moment of grief. And then from there go, and now what?
Yeah.
And begin to see what's next. Well, I mean, America chose this.
Yes.
Resoundingly chose.
Yes. I mean, he got the popular vote. He got every possible vote that there could be to get. And so once again, that leaves me with that America, that the fear of the prehistoric ideal of America, that there is this echelon of the white man, white woman, then everybody else is a minority underneath that.
Yeah.
That the very word minority has nothing to do with a human being and needs no longer to be in this type of this structure. But that is what was on the line, that people would vote to keep their sense of privilege.
Yes.
Their sense of privilege. And, not really getting that you don't have a privilege.
That's right. It's a fabricated thing.
The things that America has created, there was no one culture that created all the things that we take advantage of every day. Exactly. And the fact that I call us mutts, that, this land, the Indians were of this land.
Yeah.
And, we came here looking there's a comedian that tells a joke that when he got onto Plymouth Rock, he saw the Indians like, hey, what are you doing? We're discovering this land. And they're like, what are you talking about? We live here on this land. We're not discovering it. And it's like, well, can you just act like we discovered you? I got a boat full of men that we're discovering this land. No, you're not.
Yeah, the colonial system of going in and taking.
Going in and taking. And coupled with that, if this ban book continues, all the things now that they're trying to structure in place that would totally wipe out the true history of how America became America.
Yeah.
That's on the playing field.
So that's frightening. I mean, women have no rights. People of color have no rights. Immigrants have no rights. We're talking a vast majority of the population.
Yes.
That is the majority of the population. One of the comments I often hear lately is white men crying about how they're being treated.
Yes.
That was the vote in the US.
Yeah. Yeah.
Them going, oh, all right, here's our opportunity to just clear that up. We'll just get rid of everybody but us and all will be well.
Yeah.
I'm being a little
Oh no, over exaggerated.
at the moment, but that's kind of, I look at that and I go, you're white man, you created the system. Don't complain about a system you created.
Right.
But if you don't like it, let's do something else.
Well,
let's look at how to dismantle the colonial system and create a system of equity that actually works for all people.
Exactly. I think that's one of the things that's happening. And, for anyone looking at this, know that change is inevitable.
Yes, it is.
Change is inevitable. And this is a change that we're going through. And so not being able to see the whole picture, I do completely understand that as the problem is presented, so is the solution.
Mm. Yes, I believe that. The answer lies right within it.
It does. And so to your point, excuse me, that we must begin to shower this with love.
Yeah.
Ooh, choked up.
You're having trouble with these words after yesterday.
I truly am.
I get that for sure. It's
yeah, sparkling water.
Yeah, that'll help. That'll help.
But after everything that has been and is taking place, to shower love, to continue to shower love, to continue to shower the light. And I know sometimes when people hear love, they think that means to be passive.
No,
quite the contrary.
It is an active thing.
It is a very active thing. Yeah. And being active without violence, without separating yourself from your family and friends, these things do need to be healed, because when you think about it, there's some families that are so torn apart because of this.
Yes.
If we can't heal within our own family,
yeah,
how do we heal in the world?
Yeah, that's a very, very good comment, because the reality is that we don't. We don't heal in our families. If we have with somebody, then we just walk away and we don't talk to them again.
Right.
And then sitting down and going, my feelings are hurt. You said whatever, but you're right. If we can't do it at our personal level, how are we going to manage it on the collective? And that when I talk about love, I talk about, for me, it kind of means oneness, like I am you and you are me. And so how am I going to treat you? Right. I have to be aware that what I'm putting out is coming back to me. And so even when I look at somebody like Donald Trump, who, whatever power he has, again, it's challenging, but I have to see that I am one with him.
Yes.
That's hard to swallow.
Well, I think when I saw that he won and how he won, I recognized that there is still so much healing that needs to take place within each of us. And, it's almost impossible to take care of the whole without taking care of the individual. And starting with ourselves, then moving to our family and our friends, that starts to create this new awareness of living this.
Absolutely.
And so, we are tasked with this wonderful opportunity to start to really be mindful in what we are creating, and recognizing that, I started observing myself a couple of months ago for my own personal thing that I was looking at. And there were a couple of times that I caught myself going, oh, really? Oh, really? And then I caught myself and said, wow, Gino, that oh, really has an energy that's going out into the universe. And
Yes.
you've been, oh, really about many or different things for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that, oh, really? Oh, okay, whatever. That energy, all of that, these are some of the things that as an individual, as a person, as part of the human consciousness, must start to take responsibility for and accountability for.
Yeah. And I think if each one of us, does our own inner work and finds space to actually love and appreciate ourselves, the gifts that we have and who we truly are, and then we begin to do that for the people around us. Doesn't matter if they're different, doesn't matter if they have a different viewpoint. We have to find it in our hearts to be able to still sit with them and have a conversation. We don't have to agree all the time.
No, that's not what peace is about.
Not at all.
That's not how the world evolves.
It's not about love either.
No, it's not about love either.
Dishonest, frankly.
Exactly. To think that we could have a world where everybody is the same or thinks the same, that would be a world that could not thrive and that would die.
It would, and it would be so boring.
It would be incredibly boring.
Yeah.
And so this is not about, for me, I recognize it's not about people that think differently than I do, but it is about me having compassion for them that think differently than I do, and knowing that there's room for everyone.
And every opinion.
And every opinion.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be an either or. This is something that I think we are definitely going to have the opportunity to learn at a very deep level. At a very deep level.
I think so. Well, on that note, let's take a short commercial break. We will be back in just 2 to 3 minutes, and don't go away because there's a whole lot more coming. You're watching Out of My Mouth on the New Thought Media Network. Stay tuned.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome back. You're watching the New Thought Media Network's Out of My Mouth, and my guest today is Gino Walker, and I am enjoying this conversation very much as we try to navigate the new reality that's just actually starting to settle in. And I love where we were going with the idea of shifting consciousness, which begins within the individual. And then as we model new ways of being, hopefully that will then be like a COVID virus and infect everybody. That's my hope, that love will infect the world and begin to change how we look at each other and how we receive each other.
Well, one of the great things about that, if you listen to any mediums or channelers or new thought, or I want to say light workers, or anybody that deals with angelic presence, all of them are saying in essence that, and I'm going to paraphrase this in my way, but in essence that it's not that perhaps we change the world, but you change your world.
You change yourself.
You change your own world, and you literally change what you're experiencing in your new reality. And so if you believe that there are quantum realities, that there are different realities that are going on at the very same time that this reality is happening, then there is this divine opportunity for you to live in a very different reality than what others may be experiencing.
Exactly right. And one of the things that I can't remember where I read it. I was reading something the other day about, the power of our mind. And, we can be focusing on, wow, the world is beautiful and wonderful, and I'm happy and joyous, and I do what I love, and I'm having a wonderful experience. Or I can allow my mind to go, I can't believe this happened. And oh my goodness, now what if this happens? Or what if that happens? And we live in this place of creating this mess within our own thoughts, which then begins to create anxiety, fear, anger, frustration, whatever. But really it's a mind game, and that we can change.
We absolutely can change our mind.
Yeah.
And, and working with energy and frequency, there's a portal of consciousness that starts to evolve and expand in such a way that you can literally experience something very different than maybe someone right next to you. That the things that you encounter in your world could be very different. But for a lot of us to think that there's another reality outside of this, and to also be in the mindset that reality is not as solid as most of us have conceived it to be, that it is an ever moving, evolving consciousness. And depending on where you are scientifically with that or spiritually with that, I think this is definitely one of these times that to start exploring the power of your energy and frequency within you to elevate your consciousness, your way of living to something very different than what we have experienced in the past, and in ways that we have experienced it in the past.
And that's how we begin to make a bigger change overall. And I know in CSL, our thing is, a world that works for everyone.
Right.
And, I believe we're already there. If I'm living in misery, well, that's actually working for me in some way.
Of course it is.
And so for me, I think we're looking at how do we lift our vibration? How do we begin to focus on the beauty of life rather than resisting what's going on? Because what is, it can't be changed. But what can change is how I think about what is, which then creates my next moment, which could be something completely different as a result of that shift in consciousness.
So absolutely. And, I just want to say that I recognize that there was so much light right before, so much attention to Trump.
Yes.
And all of that energy,
Yeah.
Even though I applaud Vice President Kamala Harris for, to me, running a most amazing race,
Oh, she did.
and for speaking a consciousness of living a world that works for all. She was speaking about that. But all of everything and everyone was so tuned in, tapped in, turned on to every word that Trump said, that there was all of the attention.
Absolutely.
Not to say that Kamala wasn't getting attention, but it was a different focus. It was a different energy that was being given. His energy for most people was that of fear, afraid of what could happen if he got in, and also afraid of what would happen if he did not get in.
Yeah, exactly. It was both sides of that.
It was both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
So you've got all of this energy just pulsing. So, what do we know? What we focus on
grows and expands,
whether you want it or not.
Yeah. And that's a huge lesson for all of us, is where am I focusing my attention? Am I focusing my attention on I'm so sick? Am I focusing my attention on I'm so broke? Am I focusing on my attention on I'm so unhappy? It's like, where do we focus our attention? And whatever we focus on grows and expands. And you're right. I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, Trump has gotten so much. Oh my God. Everybody's talking about, he said this, he said that. Can you believe he said this? It's been this constant narrative. So you nailed it.
Constant. And, moving forward from where we are now, if we begin our journey focused on how are we going to get over this? How are we going to live in this? How are we going to get through this? How is he going to hurt us? How is he going to stop us? And recognizing, I thank you, Spirit, because this is just downloading and my heart is feeling so much lighter because I recognize what my role is to understand that I had said, when I found out that he won, I was like, okay, I'm out. No more news, no more. Because for over 10 years, I didn't look at news.
Yeah.
And I got back invested. And so I'm clear, like, I'm out. I can do no more news. No more. I don't want to look at anything about what Trump has to say. And so I'm recognizing that in order for me to take this next step, I've got to focus on the reality of what I would choose to live in and not on what is. They talk about it's not an easy thing to do all the time.
No,
but
it's not.
Like if your bank account is in the red, it's hard not to think about it. But thinking about it, you're worried about it. You're afraid about it. You're doubting. And so all of that just continues this energy, this whole energy ball. So, if I look at the light in this is, wow, this is a way to really focus on what you are choosing to create and not on what is.
Exactly. Because if we focus on, what are we going to do about this and how can we change this, and all of that energy then is going to keep this rolling right where it is. It won't go anywhere because it can't. We have to focus on what we want, not what we don't want. So thank you for that.
I just want to add to that in focusing on what we want, I want to be clear. For me, it doesn't mean that what is changes instantly. Oh. And it doesn't mean that I'm not participating in changing what is. But what I'm not doing is trying to change what is from the same problem of where what is.
Exactly.
Moving to another dimension of vibration and frequency to show that's where other solutions are. That's
Yeah.
where other possibilities are, but we
Absolutely.
cannot reach them if we are stuck in this is what it is, this is how it is. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that it's easy, but I do believe that we can do it. It is a practice. We practice this for so long.
Yeah.
Now we are going to, I don't want to use the word have to, but I implore you to use your energy to lift not only your awareness, but in that you lift those around you.
I love that. That's really powerful, because if we begin to shift how we look at what's going on, if we can begin to really sort of create that division in our mind that, okay, I've been thinking along these lines and it isn't serving me, and I can't change anything if I continue to think along those lines. So how about I create a new thought? The new thought movement. Create a new thought in my mind. So through affirmations, through a treatment or prayer, to begin to really kind of cleanse the mind. Like, in Christianity, they have Lent every spring. And I practice that. I don't practice it the way, many do. But in my mind, when I think of Lent, I go, okay, take out that negativity. Take out that negativity. That's what I'm giving up, is negativity, judgment, criticism, all of that. When I notice it, I'm sorry, you're out of here. And begin to move my mind into the place of positive creation, where I really want it to be, rather than where I don't want it to be.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely. It's fasting for me. It's fasting from, as I said, I've been in this space of observing. So observing that even when I go, oh, really? That's a negative energy.
It is a negative
and
energy.
It's like, at first I was like, no, I want to know when I'm doing that. I want to know when I'm doing it, so that then I can address it, and then I can heal whatever that little gnawing is behind it. Because when I look at where, this election and why I was so invested, my fear that as a person of color, as a Black woman, that I will have to deal with some things that will put me, my family back hundreds of years, that I will, as much as we have progressed, that will be taken away. So that is an underlining energy that I'm like, that has to be healed. That has to come up and be healed, because I am a child of God, just like you, just like Donald, just like Kamala. And my God works for me the same way God works for Trump.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That makes some stuff come up, I tell you.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. But it's such a powerful statement, because that's the truth.
Yes.
That's where we really need to find a way to live there.
Yes, I agree. To find a way to live in this space of recognizing that no matter whom is in office, we are supported. And if you know that you are supported, then you don't carry this fear, this anger around with you. You don't carry disgust for other people, because you know you have everything you need, no matter what. And so that is a consciousness that I know that I will be diligently working to hold every day, to aspire to, from the time I wake up in the morning, to hold this truth that I and my Father are one. And sometimes it starts back with the basics, just to basically start laying a foundation, and to, I've started doing little 30-second little timeouts, where for me, waterfalls and butterflies are very much that take me into my heart space. And so 30 seconds of that, it allows me to stay very present without going into other stories, because 30 seconds goes by so quickly. So a lot
Yes.
of times I do 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and there's this joy that that comes over me. So that's going to be part of my commitment, to commit to moving forward in this time.
I like that. I like that a lot. And for me, like, I gave up watching the news a long time ago. I mean, I still catch stuff. I mean, you
Yes.
can't help it. There's news programs on in hospitals and in,
Yes.
nail salons, obviously, and, different places have them going. So you do catch things. The other thing is people love to share.
Yes.
So when something really horrible happens, quickly there's, phone calls. It's almost like a phone tree that they did years ago. Let's go tell everybody in town what's going on here.
Right.
So the information comes. What I need to know, I always get.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to make it a diet. I can't live on it. I really can't. I watched a few minutes last night and I could feel my anxiety rising. And I'm going, no. I need a good night's sleep. I ain't going there.
Yeah.
It's like, Pierre, go ahead. You can watch if you want, but I'm going to go do something else. And even he couldn't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He watched a little bit and he's going, I got to shut it off. Like, this is so distressing.
Yeah.
And, I think there's a lot of people who felt that way.
Oh.
And so, we got to feel that that's really there, and feel it and acknowledge it, and know that it can be shifted and moved. And that's our work. That's the healing work that we need to do, is to shift that consciousness so that we can live in a more peaceful state of mind, regardless of the circumstances around us, because we cannot control what Trump does.
No, I think that's one of the other silent blessings, is that for me, understanding that I don't have to control what the world does in order for me to live in a reality and to live a life of joy, abundance, prosperity. A lot of the fear that's being tossed about is that this fear that someone else is going to take complete control of your life and your choices. And yes, we do have an issue with the abortion rights. That's a real thing that is for young women that may find themselves in different situations. I never would have thought that I would live in a space where Roe v. Wade would be overturned. And, recalling some of the stories that my mother shared with me that this is what's potentially happening now. And so we cannot give up on that. We have to continue the call and the awareness that women are human beings, and we deserve the right to our bodies. And so there's work to be done there. Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that work is for women to find their value, so that they're not feeling that they have to listen to their husband or their boyfriend, that they, in fact, have the power to stand up and step out into life in a much bigger way than maybe we have. I mean, obviously, there's some very powerful women out there, but there are a lot of women that are still living in that place of self-doubt, who are looking to someone else to answer their problems or their questions. And often that's a spouse or a brother, a father, or whatever, but it's a male figure. And if we're doing that, we're basically saying, I'm not enough. But the truth is, as women, we are remarkably powerful.
We are.
That we live longer. We have, an incredible sense of compassion and kindness that is just sort of innate. I mean, are there women who are angry? Of course there are. But there's that energy of kindness and compassion that sort of is part of the feminine experience. And if you identify as female, it doesn't matter what your body was born as, but if you identify as female, those are the qualities that our world looks for right now. And the interesting thing is, we are the majority of the population.
Yeah. That's one of the things that's baffling, that that alone, but there are those that have preconceived ideas about how a woman, what she should do and what her choices are. And, you know, it's amazing. I had this really in-depth conversation with this man about the abortion right, and how he felt that it was wrong. It wasn't the godly thing to do. And that's usually the go-to that most of them go to. And I asked him in that, I said, you know, where does the man, where does his responsibility come in? You know, even now in certain states, they don't want to have contraceptives.
Yes. Yeah.
So where is the man's responsibility at all? Everything's on the woman.
Exactly.
But yet she has no control over.
Exactly.
You know, in going to a doctor or deciding what she chooses to do. So, you know, you want to talk about God, but you're talking about your God.
Yeah, yeah. It goes back to that sort of fundamentalist Christian viewpoint of women being subservient to men.
Yeah.
And I think as women, we must unite and stand up.
We must. And, you know, and one of the things of us uniting is really supporting each other.
Absolutely.
Really supporting each other, and not to have this be about anger and striking back, but to take some control.
Yeah.
To take some control. So it is going to be very interesting. It's going to be amazing, because I believe that there will be much great fruit that will come from this. I do believe that there will be many things that we are now in the process of changing what America can be and how great it can be. And
yeah. I believe that. I've spent a fair bit of time in the US, and every time I go, I have a really positive experience. You know, the people that I meet are kind and friendly, and there's a lot of love and joy going around. And so I experienced that. I mean, I remember going to Nashville a few years ago and going to a restaurant for lunch just after I arrived, and, you know, sitting chatting with my friend and the waitress and talking about, oh, we got to go and pick up groceries for the condo and this and that. And she's like, well, I get off work at 4, I'll drive you.
No.
Who does that?
Exactly.
And and I've had experiences like that over and over and over as I've traveled through the US. And I'm like, that energy is there.
Yes.
And so now as women, and I really believe it's women that truly have to stand together, united as sisters, and to go, you know, I may not understand your culture. I may not understand all of the choices that you have made, but you are my sister. And because of that, I will respect you. I will love you. I will stand with you as you are going through whatever challenges you're facing. And I think that's what needs to happen is women need to start reaching out to each other, standing with each other in moments of discomfort or pain, and really not buying into the narrative that, you know, tears are a sign of weakness. I'm sorry, tears are a sign of power. That is, you know, releasing an energy that needs to be released so that we can open up to bigger, broader ideas. And so I look at the ways that we have been labeled, the way that women have been, you know, put as, you know, sort of going against each other. All of that needs to be settled down. And we as women need to come to a place of standing together and finding a way to really, truly celebrate one another. And it doesn't matter if we fully understand. We just have to do things differently. And it has to be with love and kindness.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, my sister, that this is an opportunity for us to come together as a country, as a nation, and to realize that I know that there are a lot of men that are very supportive and understand, you know, this old paradigm that people have gotten behind for so long about this is a God issue. This is an individual issue. This is a private discussion that a woman has with her God, with her source, with her rabbi, with her guru, whoever that is, with her family.
Yeah.
And this is not a governmental issue. And, I love it as Kamala asked one of the representatives, what laws do we have that govern a man's body?
Oh, there aren't any.
There aren't zero. Zero. Because they're making law.
Carte blanche. They can do whatever they want.
Whatever they want to do and not be responsible as well. Be responsible. So,
well, now we've got 4 minutes left, a little
Okay.
less than that. And what I want to know is, what do you think is the most important thing that you would like people to take away from our conversation today?
I think the absolute most important thing is, one, you must have time to grieve. So
Yes.
whatever that is, take today, if it's today through the weekend, take whatever it is you need to grieve. And for those that are celebrating, understand also that in your celebration, that this is the entire world that's involved. It's not
Yes.
just about you. So I understand that you're celebrating and you're happy, but know that there are others that you can be kind to and have compassion for. And then 3, most importantly, that each of us must recognize that our consciousness is participating, and that in order for us to live in a world that does support equality, love, grace, and peace, that we must do the work on ourselves to recognize that we can love more, that we can be more compassionate, and that we can see our neighbors who disagree with us not as something that's against us, but something that is here to create our world into a better expression of who and what we are.
Well said, my friend. Well said. And I agree completely that as we begin to live from that model, as we begin to love ourselves enough,
Yes.
to believe in ourselves enough that we can then share that love out in the world, what
Yes.
happens is we create a space of real possibility and a space where we can disagree with one another
Yes.
without hating each other.
Yes.
You don't have to agree with me. We can have a conversation and support each other in love. And women, unite.
Women unite.
And not against men. We
Not
unite.
against men.
Not at all. Not
Yeah.
at all. It's uniting in a common cause of bringing light into a world that currently feels a little dark.
It feels a
And
little
so
dark.
we want to lift it. We want to lift it and we want to shine it. And we've got that. We've got that. Thank you, my sister. I am so grateful to spend this time with you today.
Thank you. Wasn't feeling it, but this has helped lift my heart, and it has really reminded me of the greatness that we are, and that there is a power and a presence that's operating through each and every one of us.
Here and now.
Here and now.
Bless you, bless you, bless you. Thank you. And everyone, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to give a donation to the New Thought Media Network, well, you know that we'd be very happy to receive that. Keep this network running. And for everyone who's celebrating, congratulations. For everybody who's challenged, allow yourself to grieve, to be where you are, and just know that together we create a beautiful world. I love you. God bless you. God bless America. And
God bless the world.
God bless the world. And we'll see you again next week with some new whatever. Anyway, take care and good night.
Peace and blessings, my angel.
Bye, sweetheart.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.